Berlin, May 1943. Hitler receives an intelligence report he didn't expect. Not about lost territories or failed battles, but about Enigma itself. The machine protecting every secret order of the Reich. The document suggests something impossible. The Allies might be reading German transmissions. Hitler immediately rejects it. His cryptographers assured him that breaking Enigma would take millions of years. But the facts don't lie. Every naval operation is intercepted. Every troop movement is anticipated. Every order he sends seems to reach the enemy first. When the truth finally becomes undeniable, the words Hitler utters reveal just his rage, but the collapse of the entire German strategy. What did he say in that moment? Welcome to Deep History. Tell us where you're watching from. I'd really like to know. The Enigma machine entered service in the German military in the late 1930s. It was a portable encryption device, about the size of a typewriter, with rotors that scrambled messages into millions of possible combinations. German command believed it was unbreakable. Every order sent from Berlin to submarines in the Atlantic, to panzer divisions in North Africa, to infantry units on the Eastern Front, all encrypted through Enigma. The system became the backbone of Wehrmacht communications. Without it, coordinated operations across multiple fronts would be impossible. By 1942, thousands of Enigma machines were in use across every branch of the German military. But in Britain, something was already happening. Bletchley Park, a Victorian estate 50 miles north of London, became the centre of Allied code-breaking efforts. Mathematicians, linguists, and engineers worked in secrecy to crack German ciphers. Among them was Alan Turing, whose work on the Bombe machine, electromechanical device designed to test Enigma settings, accelerated decryption dramatically. By mid-1942, Bletchley Park was reading thousands of German messages daily. The intelligence gathered was codenamed Ultra. It was never shared widely. Only a handful of commanders knew the source. To protect the secret, Allied forces sometimes allowed German operations to succeed, rather than reveal they had advanced knowledge. The impact on the Battle of the Atlantic was immediate. German U-boats operated in coordinated Wolf packs, directed by radio from command centers in France. Each submarine received encrypted orders, patrol zones, convoy routes, attack times. Bletchley Park intercepted those orders. British naval intelligence rerouted convoys away from waiting U-boats. Escort ships positioned themselves precisely where submarines would surface. In early 1943, U-boat losses began to climb sharply. Captains reported arriving at intercept points only to find empty ocean. Others surfaced into prepared ambushes. Admiral Karl Dönitz, commander of the U-boat fleet, reviewed the reports with growing concern. The patterns were too consistent to be coincidence. But that wasn't the most critical part yet. Dönitz ordered an investigation. German cryptographers examined the Enigma system for vulnerabilities. They ran mathematical analyses. They tested captured Allied equipment for signs of decryption technology. Their conclusion: Enigma remains secure. The number of possible rotor combinations, over 150 million, made brute force decryption impossible with existing technology. Dönitz accepted the findings. He attributed U-boat losses to improved Allied radar, direction-finding equipment, and increased air patrols. The idea that Enigma itself was compromised seemed mathematically absurd. So operations continued. Orders kept flowing through the same encrypted channels, and losses kept mounting. In North Africa, the situation mirrored the Atlantic. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel commanded the Afrika Korps with aggressive mobile tactics that depended on rapid communication. His supply convoys crossed the Mediterranean under Enigma encrypted routing orders. British intelligence read those orders at Bletchley Park. Royal Air Force bombers and Royal Navy submarines intercepted the convoys with precision. Fuel shipments meant for panzer divisions ended up at the bottom of the sea. Rommel's tank sat immobile for lack of supplies. His operational reports, also encrypted by Enigma. Detailed troop positions and attack plans. British commanders in Egypt read them before Rommel's own officers received their copies. The Desert War, which had swung back and forth across Libya, began tilting decisively toward the Allies. By spring 1943, senior German officers noticed the pattern. Operations planned in complete secrecy faced prepared defenses. Surprise attacks met counterattacks already in position. Rommel himself began to suspect something beyond conventional intelligence gathering. He ordered radio silence before major operations. He used courier dispatch for sensitive orders, but the damage was systemic. Years of encrypted communication had already exposed German order of battle, unit strengths, supply routes, and strategic priorities. The Allies possessed a comprehensive picture of Wehrmacht's capabilities. What came next would change everything. In May 1943, a decrypted message reached Hitler's headquarters. It wasn't from the Allies. It was from German naval intelligence in occupied France. An analyst had compared the timing of Allied attacks against U-boats with the transmission of Enigma encrypted patrol orders. The correlation was exact. Convoys changed course within hours of German radio traffic. Air patrols appeared over U-boat positions shortly after coordinates were transmitted. The report concluded cautiously. Either the Allies possessed extraordinarily sophisticated direction-finding technology, or they were reading German communications directly. Hitler summoned his cryptography experts and military intelligence chiefs. The meeting took place at the Reich Chancellery. According to post-war testimony from Wilhelm Keitel, chief of the Wehrmacht High Command, Hitler initially dismissed the possibility. He had been assured repeatedly that Enigma was unbreakable. German engineers had designed it specifically to resist cryptanalysis. The British, he argued, lacked the mathematical sophistication and computational resources required. But the evidence kept accumulating. Dönitz presented U-boat loss statistics. The Luftwaffe reported bomber raids that seemed to anticipate German aircraft movements. Intelligence from the Eastern Front showed similar patterns of Allied foreknowledge. The cryptographers defended their work. They explained the mathematical principles behind Enigma's security. They showed calculations proving the astronomical number of key combinations. Breaking the system, they insisted, would require testing billions of settings for each message, work that would take years even with large teams. Hitler listened. Then he asked a question that silenced the room. If Enigma was truly secure, why did every major operation leak to the enemy? No one had a satisfactory answer. The possibility that Allied codebreakers had achieved what German experts deemed impossible created a crisis of confidence that went beyond military security. It meant German technological superiority, a cornerstone of Reich ideology, was a myth. No one in that room expected the next message. Hitler's response, documented in multiple post-war accounts, revealed his state of mind. He didn't order an immediate change in communication systems. He didn't shut down Enigma transmissions. Instead, according to Keitel's testimony at Nuremberg, Hitler declared that if the Allies were reading German communications, then Germany had already lost the technical war. He blamed the cryptographers for incompetence. He blamed intelligence services for failure. But he also revealed something deeper, a reluctance to accept that British mathematicians, people he considered racially inferior, had outsmarted German engineering. This cognitive dissonance delayed decisive action for months. The operational impact was devastating. Even after suspicions about Enigma emerged, German forces continued using it, partly from institutional inertia. Replacing an entire military communication system required time and resources Germany no longer had. Partly from disbelief. Accepting that Enigma was broken meant acknowledging years of compromised operations. And partly from lack of alternatives. Other encryption methods existed, but none matched Enigma's speed and portability. So the messages continued, and Bletchley Park continued reading them. By late 1943, some German units switched to landline communications or courier dispatch for critical orders. But the damage was irreversible. The Allies knew German force dispositions across Europe. They understood supply constraints, fuel shortages, and troop morale problems. When planning the Normandy invasion in 1944, Allied commanders used ultra-intelligence to identify weak points in German coastal defenses, avoid reinforced sectors, and predict counterattack timing. The success of D-Day owed much to information extracted from Enigma transmissions that German officers still believed were secure. The following report would destabilize the entire operation. Hitler's words in May 1943, when confronted with evidence of Enigma's compromise, were documented by several witnesses. According to Albert Speer's post-war memoirs, Hitler said, "If they can read our orders, then we have been fighting blind." The phrase captured the reality perfectly. For years, German forces operated under the illusion of secure communication, while every strategic decision was visible to the enemy. The blindness wasn't just technical, it was strategic and psychological. German command had built operational doctrine around Enigma's assumed security. Rapid mobile warfare depended on encrypted radio coordination. Submarine Wolf packs required real-time encrypted commands. Without trust in communication security, the entire German way of war collapsed. But Hitler's statement also revealed his refusal to fully accept responsibility. He blamed the cryptographers, the engineers, the intelligence services, everyone except the strategic decisions that made Enigma compromise so catastrophic. A more adaptive command structure might have noticed the patterns earlier and switched systems. Instead, bureaucratic rigidity and ideological blindness allowed the bleeding to continue 4 years. The human cost was measured in lost submarines, surrounded divisions, and ambushed convoys. U-boat crews transmitted position reports that became their death sentences. Panzer commanders sent encrypted requests for fuel that never arrived, because the supply trucks were already burning from Allied air attacks guided by intercepted coordinates. Infantry units called for reinforcements that walked into prepared kill zones. Every encrypted transmission added another name to the casualty lists. After the war, captured German cryptographers learned the full scope of Bletchley Park's success. The revelation shattered their professional confidence. They had built what they believed was an unbreakable system. They had performed the mathematics correctly, but they underestimated human ingenuity, Allied industrial capacity, and the willingness to invest massive resources into code breaking. The bomb machines, the thousands of analysts, the captured Enigma rotors, the brilliant mathematical insights, none of it seemed possible from the German perspective. Yet it happened, and it remained secret until the 1970s, long after the war ended. Hitler's realization in 1943 came too late. The strategic advantage had already shifted. By the time German forces began restricting Enigma use, Allied intelligence had compiled years of data on Wehrmacht organization, tactics, and capabilities. Even without fresh intercepts, that knowledge shaped Allied strategy through the end of the war. The machine that was supposed to guarantee German communication security became the instrument of its defeat. And the man who built his empire on claims of technical and racial superiority learned, too late, that he had been blind all along. Another silent page of the war finally comes to light. Continue through our archive of forgotten operations. Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe, leave your like, and share this video with 2 people you remembered while watching.